Okay, hello. Welcome to this Course in Miracles study group. We're on day 13, chapter 3, under the innocent perception, the first paragraph. I'll leave a link down below for the online free copy that you can read along. You just click text and then chapter 3, we're on the paragraph 1. Yeah, and if this is your first time joining, feel free to pause and go to the very beginning and read the introduction. It's just a one paragraph little snippet introducing you to the book. Um, Let me plug my microphone in really quick because it's a little windy. I just had to charge my phone. Okay, there we go. Now the wind won't be all noisy. Okay, so I'm here with Angela, and we just have been enjoying reading each paragraph and then talking about just seeing what happens, talking about each paragraph back and forth. So, okay, I will read paragraph 1. I don't think I forgot to say anything. No, okay, paragraph 1. A further point must be perfectly clear before any residual fear still associated with miracles can disappear. The crucifixion did not establish atonement. The resurrection did. Many sincere Christians have misunderstood this. No one who is free of the belief in scarcity could possibly make this mistake. If the crucifixion is seen from an upside down point of view, it does appear as if God permitted and even encouraged one of his sons to suffer because he was good. This particularly unfortunate interpretation, which arose out of projection, has led many people to be bitterly afraid of God. Such anti-religious concepts enter into many religions. Yet the real Christian should pause and ask, how could this be? Is it likely that God himself would be capable of the kind of thinking in which his own words have clearly stated is unworthy of his son? I think this is like a really cool, just sort of like reality shift for those of us that are still stuck in this thinking that, we were bad and so Jesus had to die for us, which is just not true. And this is clearing that up, talking about how it's rooted, that belief is rooted in scarcity, which makes me feel like it's that belief that like you have to pay your dues, you have to give something in order to get something, which is very lack mindset. You just get to receive because you are, because you exist, not because you sacrificed anything. Um, so yeah, I think this is just looking to shift our perception about um, that. I don't have really anything else to say about this paragraph.
Yeah, I really like that. I like the idea of shifting the perception of like that we don't have to do anything to receive. Um, because that, like the martyr complex, I can totally relate to that in some ways of like not like I don't know where I was going with that, but it's like there has been a part of me on my spiritual path that's like, look at how much I've given up, look how much I've given up to like walk this path. And it it doesn't really matter. I mean, like it does. There are sacrifices that need to be made in some circumstances, but I don't know. It's not about like, is it like giving up because that's something that needs to leave your life, or are you just like giving up something just so you can have I guess this to like to just say, like, look what I gave up for this. Like, look how holy I am because I gave these things up. So I like where this is going already because yeah, I can totally feel that.
Yes, I agree. And I like that point of like feeling like you have to give things up in order to earn what you want. And this makes me think of something I think I posted it maybe on TikTok, but it doesn't matter. I was talking about how I'm like taking a really big leap of faith right now. And it may look externally like I'm sacrificing because I'm not making as much money as I was when I was working full time as a personal trainer. So from the outside looking in, it looks like I'm sacrificing income in order to quantum leap or fall into the void or whatever you want to perceive it as. But it doesn't really feel like a sacrifice because I feel more free and more expansive than I ever have in my entire life. I have more freedom to the point where I don't even miss the extra income. And it's almost shifted my perception in such a way of like showing me how much money I actually need to live. And it's not a lot. And it's almost like this false perception of what freedom looks like, almost like all of these luxury items were sold. Like you need to take extravagant trips and travel the world, and that's what freedom is, having the money to buy and do whatever you want. That's freedom. But it's almost like me giving up half of my income has stripped away that false perception of freedom to the point where I'm just like, I feel more free than ever. And it's not because of how much things I can buy. And it's not because I can go on these extravagant trips all over the world. It's because I can spend my time creating and expressing my soul freely. So like
Yeah,
I think sometimes we think something's a sacrifice, but it's not really.
yeah, yeah, I can relate to that. I haven't had an income in a long time, and and at first, it was really hard adjusting to it, but after, choosing to give up income to like really follow what it is that I want to do, I feel more empowered in that. I feel more empowered by like making the decision. And when I made that decision, the people around me were not supportive in any way. They kind of all thought that I was mentally ill. And like I even had a friend like reach out to my family and was like, something's going on here. But I did it from a choice. It wasn't like I just like suddenly didn't have, like I chose not to keep working. And nobody really saw that. And so it was really hard for me. But now, like that I'm in a more empowered place and I'm not really associating with those people anymore, like I can totally relate to that of like I am more free and I made this choice. And anytime I get down on myself about it, it's like, no, I'm the one in that has the power. I'm the one that chose to do this. So yeah, I fully agree with you on that.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay. Number two. The best defense, as always, is not to attack another's position, but rather to protect the truth. It is unwise to accept any concept if you have to invert a whole frame of reference in order to justify it. This procedure is painful in its minor applications and genuinely tragic on a wider scale. Persecution frequently results in an attempt to justify the terrible misperception that God Himself persecuted His own Son on behalf of salvation. The very words are meaningless. It has been particularly difficult to overcome this because although the error itself is no harder to correct than any other, many have been unwilling to give it up in view of its prominent value as a defense. In milder forms, a parent says, "This hurts me more than it hurts you," and feels exonerated in beating a child. Can you believe our Father really thinks this way? It is so essential that all such thinking be dispelled that we must be sure that nothing of this kind remains in your mind. I was not punished because you were bad. The holy benign lesson of the atonement teaches is lost if it is tainted with this kind of distortion in any form. I love that because, there is there are those times on the life journey where we can feel like we're being punished, when things get removed from our lives or like things happen or whatever. It can feel like punishment. But I think that is, disentangling from that belief is like the best thing we can do because there's no punishment here. It's not, I didn't do anything wrong to like be in whatever place I'm unhappy with. It's just, it's all part of the process. You just have to like zoom out and see it from a different perspective. So,
Yes, I agree. And I love how it says, like, I was not punished because you were bad, which just kind of makes me internally laugh a little bit because I feel like as humans, we can always just like make everything all about us in such like a childlike way.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
whenever you're young, like if you're like 5, 6, 7 and your parents get divorced, it's not uncommon to feel like it's your fault they're getting a divorce. You make it all about you when your parents are like, it has nothing to do with you. You didn't cause us to get a divorce. This is an adult decision that we're making for a reason. You just don't understand it yet. And I feel like humanity is that child being like, oh, my parents got divorced and it's all my fault. I must recover and make up for this. Even
Mhm.
if it's very like subconscious, I feel like that is in our collective subconscious mind of like this feeling of needing to make up for what happened to Jesus because it was our fault. Even if we're not religious or never have been religious, I think it's just something that's deeply ingrained in our collective unconscious.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because like the whole God thing really is like collective daddy issues. Like
Yeah.
if you really look at it, it's kind of like when we get in those modes of like, why is nothing happening? Like, did I do something wrong? Am I not doing this right? If you think about it, it's really like the in the dynamics of like anxious attachment and avoidant attachment, you're really putting yourself into that anxious attachment place. And then, like, what we perceive as God as the avoidant one. And it really took me like having people around me that were kind of like super anxious and like pestering me about shit that I finally was like, oh, like I get it now because I'm perpetuating that same dynamic with like the universe, I guess, or God or whatever you want to call it. But like the more we're not just like resting in the fact that there's like a connection there and it's healthy and we didn't do anything wrong, um,
Mm.
the more we can like be in that safe uh attachment, I guess it is.
Yeah, I love this comparison. I've never thought about it that way, but it makes perfect sense. Like that's kind of what we are just striving for with life is a safe, secure attachment style to
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, big time daddy issues.
Yeah. Wow. That's so funny because right before I got on this call, like around like an hour or 2 hours before, I had this like massive like identity shift of like realizing all of my which has is very in alignment with what you just said. It's like realizing like I am I am solidifying around reality around me, and reality doesn't mold to what I want or what I'm trying to make happen. Reality molds around and crystallizes around what I am. And so if I am attached anxiously to reality, it's going to reflect back to me that anxious attachment style. And I just have to shift my perception. I have to shift through embodiment of what I am to become securely attached to reality. And then not waver too much from that identity. And then, anyways, I went on this big rabbit hole in my own mind before getting on, and that like lines up so perfectly. How funny.
Yeah, I love that. I love how this always just like flows right into where life is right now.
Yeah, it's perfect. I love it. Okay, paragraph 3. The statement, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord," is a misperception by which one assigns his own evil past to God. The evil past has nothing to do with God. He did not create it, and he does not maintain it. God does not believe in retribution. His mind does not create that way. He does not hold your evil deeds against you. Is it likely that he would hold them against me? Be very sure that you recognize how utterly impossible this assumption is, and how entirely it arises from projection. This kind of error is responsible for a host of related errors, including the belief that God rejected Adam and forced him out of the Garden of Eden. It is also why you may believe from time to time that I am misdirecting you. I have made every effort to use words that are almost impossible to distort, but it is always possible to twist symbols around if you wish. Yeah, I think it's just continuing on with this, like just kind of trying to, I don't know the word, really put it into us like nothing evil exists. God does not perceive anything evil. God does not perceive of sin. And that is what the atonement is the erasing of anything sinful or evil because it never existed. And I love that it brings up um, the Garden of Eden and Adam because I've really thought about the Garden of Eden and the story of Adam and Eve a lot. And my perception is that we sort of made a choice to fall in consciousness, that we didn't do anything bad or wrong or sinful, and then God banished us. You know, it was the God within ourselves falling further away from sight as we plummeted deeper into density. Like it was our own choice because whatever, we ate the apple we ate from the tree, which I think represents like the human intellect trying to intellectualize everything, and this created density. I don't know, but I just love that it brought that up.
I love the part at the end that says, I have made every effort to use words that are almost impossible to distort, but it is always possible to twist symbols around if you wish. It's like that is just so straightforward. Like if you want to misinterpret it, you can. But like don't think too deeply about it.
He's like, I made this very easy.
Yeah, I've thought about that since I can't remember what week it was, but you said something about um like how we're possibly living Adam's dream or something like that. And I really kind of like thought about that for a while. And it's like, what if? I mean, I'm not like I haven't read the Bible. I know like some things here and there. But what if like the idea of the Bible really is just like the dream and then like we're just making the dream real? Like what if that is like God's dream and we're just like making the dream real by, having this storyline that we are clinging so much to. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but it's so interesting because like would any of this even exist if it weren't for like the dream? I don't know.
right? Or like our belief in it.
Yeah. Oh no, you just froze.
Oh,
Oh, there you are. Okay.
better.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, I was like, when we fell in consciousness and created this reality, it was that it was created that made it seem real. It's that we believed that it was real that solidified it. And now we're just experiencing what we previously believed to be real. And it's always a choice in each present moment to consciously choose whether or not we want to continue moving forward with the same story or if we want to rewrite, start a new book even. Like, do we want to start? We have the opportunity in every present moment to start a whole new book or to continue writing the same story. It's just like, what are we choosing?
That's what makes it so fun is like once we get past all of like none of this is real anyways, and we just get to like write our own story. I think that is what makes it so fun because we really can just, it's whatever we choose to believe is what is going to play out. And I just think that is it's so fun. It's so empowering. Yeah, I think I was telling you a couple days ago. It's like I just had this realization this week, or I guess last week, but like feeling like I'm in this in between of my life, but it's like, no, I'm actually in my new life right now. I just didn't even realize it. And that really was like, I don't know, it was so like mind blowing for me because it's like I was totally identifying with like, oh, I'm up in the air. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on with my life. Like I'm just in this like void space. And like, of course, that can partially be true, but it's also like, no, like I am in my life right now. I am in my new life right now. And I don't even know if I want to identify it as a new life. Just, I don't know. Yeah, it's so interesting. So I'm really working with like that belief system of like it's all happening like right now.
I love that. That's such an awesome shift in perception. Um, and it's like one of those things that happens so internally that even just trying to like describe it doesn't do it any justice because it's like a complete and like a total reorientation from within. How can you how can you vocalize that?
Yeah. Yeah, because my friend that I live with, she said, like, we were talking, and I was just like, yeah, I just feel very weird. Like, I feel like I'm don't have a home of my own. I'm like living with you guys and whatever. And it just feels very weird because, I've never had to I've never like moved home after I moved out, or like I've always had my own place. And so it just feels very weird. And she was like, there is so much more that like you contribute to this household than like the whole like monetary thing. She's like, I'm really just not even worried about it. And like I've heard these things before, we hear it all over the place. But it was just like the way that she said it like I just had this kind of vision of like a little Cupid, like just shooting this like pew. Like it was like the way she said it, it just like went right into my heart. And I was like, oh my God, like it makes sense. Like it just really hit me. It changed everything. And even yesterday, I went upstairs. I was like, you literally rewired my brain. Like I'm changed.
Beautiful and powerful.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
it's crazy.
that just goes to show like you never know like what moment or what conversation could change your life forever. Like
Yeah.
alter the path that you're on.
Yeah, this is also something that I think about a lot too, of like when it comes to like creating content, like, being a person, being a leader online, um, not something I've been doing for the past couple of years, but before, like I would like censor myself a lot. And when you think about like if you're censoring yourself, like how much is being missed? Because if you're actually in the flow and you're saying what needs to be said, then the right thing is going to come out for the right person to hear because it's not content. It's not like curated material and like, even these books, like it's not that changes people. It's like what changes people is like the most profound things that have changed me is like just in a passing conversation with someone or listening to other people have a conversation and share their own perspective. It's more of that like lived experience and just being in the flow and not thinking like I'm going to try to be a leader, I'm trying to like lead and like get a point across. It's not any of that. It's the very like surrendered and speaking from the heart things that actually make a difference.
Yeah, and it's a very like humbling experience because you're truly yeah, like what you said, you're like surrendering your vessel to the divine, and the divine doesn't speak in
Freezing a bit.
what?
Oh, you froze up a bit.
Oh, man.
Says your connection is red now.
Go. This just doesn't want to cooperate today.
Okay, it's yellow now. Getting better. Maybe.
Okay.
You're back, but it's red again.
Oh my gosh. I'm having technical difficulties today for sure.
Okay, it looks like it's back to the full strength. Oh yeah, you're clear.
Okay. I'm clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got bumped from the Wi-Fi. Hmm. Now you're gone.
It's showing now that you have full strength again and your picture looks clear, so I don't know if I'm clear.
Okay. Yeah, I just can't see you, but that just might be from my end.
Oh.
Um,
Mhm.
let me see.
I don't know what happened.
Okay. Me either.
I can hear you, I just can't see. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Okay. We're just gonna roll with it.
Yeah, it looks better.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, I'll just have to cut that. Whatever, it doesn't matter. What was I saying? Oh yeah, just that like whenever you surrender to divine flow, it's like very humbling because you're learning how to remove your ego from this like conscious stream flowing out of you, because when your ego gets in the way, which I think like PC can be very egocentric, it can distort the information that wants to come through. Um, and like trying to appease everyone is people pleasing, and that can just be very harmful to truth. So I think it comes from like a very good-hearted place. I just also think that it comes from a people pleasing place. And yeah, it's just, it gets in the way of truth.
Yeah. I mean, there has been times where I've like fully surrendered and just said, what needed to be said, I guess. And then I will like stew about it. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. That was too much. Like, I don't know. I'm not as bad with that now, but there definitely has been times where I'm like, why did I say that? Why did I even say that? Like,
That happens to me all the time. And like it can be very confusing because like in your mind you are overthinking it and you're like, okay, was that actually me surrendering to divine flow and I just need to get over it? Or did I actually overstep and my ego got in the way and I was talking from ego? Like it can be very confusing sometimes.
yeah. Yeah, it's really
But
hard to know where to draw the line. This is like
yeah,
my big
but
lesson right now is like, where do we draw the lines? I don't know where the lines are.
yeah, yes. And I have just had to continually come back to this place of like, if it's coming from an authentic place, like if I'm truly just being authentic and true to myself in this moment, then that is the divine flow because we are learning how to embody divinity instead of ego. And it can be a messy journey, but as long as you're authentic about it and you're not so hard-headed and firm in what you say that you are unwilling to see somebody else's perspective, or like be like, actually, maybe I did overstep, I'm sorry, and like know when to apologize or whatever, like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as there's
Long,
accountability there, you know, that's like the big thing.
yeah, because nobody's perfect, nobody's gonna get it right all the time 24/7. And that's just kind of like a crazy expectation to have of ourselves.
Mhm.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
Okay, was it me? Yes. Sacrifice is a notion totally unknown to God. It arises solely from fear, and frightened people can be vicious. Sacrificing in any way is a violent violation of my injunction that you should be merciful, even as your Father in heaven is merciful. It has been hard for many Christians to realize that this applies to themselves. Good teachers never terrorize their students. To terrorize is to attack, and this results in rejection of what the teacher offers. The result is learning failure. I don't really know if I fully grasp that.
Hmm,
Injunction. What is an injunction?
that's a good
Violation
question.
of my injunction.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what injunction means.
Huh.
Sacrificing in any way is a violation of my injunction.
That you should be merciful, even as your Father in heaven is merciful. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know if I understand one.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like that kind of confuses my perception of the rest of the paragraph. Um, but I
There's,
do love that it says good teachers never terrorize their students.
yeah. Yeah, I don't really have anything to add to that one.
Yeah, we can just move to the next one.
Okay.
I have been correctly referred to as the Lamb of God who taketh away the sins of the world. But those who represent the meaning of the symbol, correctly understood, it is a very simple symbol that speaks of my innocence. The lion and the lamb lying down together symbolize that strength and innocence are not in conflict, but naturally live in peace. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God, is another way of saying the same thing. A pure mind knows the truth, and this is its strength. It does not confuse destruction with innocence because it associates innocence with strength, not with weakness. Um, I feel like this kind of speaks to, and the way I perceive innocence is not necessarily being like untainted or untouched or nice all the time. Innocence to me just comes from like an animal, like a dog is innocent, and they're not always nice. They're not always perfect. Sometimes they growl and they defend their home and they bark, and other times they play. They're just being like authentic in their nature of what they are. And they're not going astray because they don't necessarily have the same overthinking mind that we have that tends to lead us astray. They're just purely acting in innocence. So this kind of goes back to learning how to surrender and just become like a vessel for the divine to flow through. It's learning how to return to innocence, not because you're so nice to people all the time, not because you never hurt somebody's feelings on accident or whatever. It's because you know that nothing from your past has left a stain on you. Like the sins of your past don't even exist. And it's learning how to forgive and detach from the identity of the quote unquote sins that you've, whatever the word is, the sins that you've done. Or anyway, so it's just like this return to the innocence within, the part of you that knows that it is a holy child of God and it does not need to do anything to earn that title, and acting and speaking from that place.
I love that. And I love that too. Because like in maintaining innocence would be staying in that state of innocence and not judging what it is that comes through, or like if, like, I think the first thing that would kind of kick you out of innocence would be like, questioning, did I do this right, or did I say the right thing or something like that. And so it's like when you stay in that pure innocence, that kind of in its own way is like the surrendered state. So that was really
That's so true. I love it. Yeah, that was a good
okay.
paragraph.
Innocence is incapable of sacrificing anything because the innocent mind has everything and strives only to protect its wholeness. It cannot project. It can only honor other minds because honor is the natural greeting of the truly loved to others who are like them. The Lamb taketh away the sins of the world, in the sense that the state of innocence or grace is one in which the meaning of the atonement is perfectly apparent. The atonement is entirely unambiguous. It is perfectly clear because it exists in light. Only the attempts to shroud it in darkness have made it inaccessible to those who do not choose to see. I love that one. That is so, so perfect for that, because it's like the part where it says it cannot project. Because that is, like you can't be in innocence and project your own motives at the same time. Those are two like totally separate states of being. So yeah, I really love that. And I love that it also says the atonement is entirely unambiguous, because with the thinking mind, we can be like, oh my gosh, it's so ambiguous. I don't understand. Like there's so much to it, but it's like, no, this is like, it's very simple. It's very, very simple. Like the grace of God is very simple.
Mm, yeah. Um, yeah, I don't even have anything else to add. It is so, it's just so simple. It just is. You just are.
Yeah.
You just are. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be anything. You don't have to get anything or achieve anything. You just are. And anything that takes you away from that centered place of knowing that you just are is a distortion.
Mhm.
Wow.
Absolutely.
It just makes me laugh. Like, the laughing Buddha. Like, it just makes you laugh because you're like, I understand. It's so funny.
Yeah. I'm so fickle and feeble-minded.
Just like, it just is. We just are. That
Mhm.
simple. That's so funny. Yeah, I don't even have anything else to add. That was perfect. Okay. We're on this one. Okay. Ah. The atonement itself radiates nothing but truth. It therefore epitomizes harmlessness and sheds only blessing. It could not do this if it arose from anything but perfect innocence. Innocence is wisdom because it is unaware of evil, and evil does not exist. It is, however, perfectly aware of everything that is true. The resurrection demonstrates that nothing can destroy truth. Good can withstand any form of evil, as light abolishes forms of darkness. The atonement is therefore the perfect lesson. It is the final demonstration that all the other lessons I taught are true. If you can accept this one generalization now, there will be no need to learn from many smaller lessons. You are released from all errors if you believe this. I understand what the atonement is on a deeper level than I did when we first started this, however many weeks ago. Like I was so confused about what the hell is the atonement. I could not wrap my mind around it. And miraculously, I just understand it on a deeper level, even these however many weeks. I think this is week 12. Like that's miraculous to go from like not being able to wrap my mind around something to just being like, oh, I kind of fully understand this and I understand how to embody it. Now, do I embody it every second of every day? That's another story, not necessarily, but I understand how to in a few short 12 weeks, which to me just blows my mind. Um, yeah, I think this is really just saying that with this understanding, there would be no other lessons because evil does not exist. It's perfectly aware of everything that is true. The resurrection demonstrated that nothing can destroy the truth. Good can withstand any form of evil as light abolishes from the dark. The atonement is therefore the perfect lesson. I honestly don't even have anything else to add to this paragraph because it just spoke to me so clearly, and I feel like it kind of also restated the past few paragraphs as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't really have anything to add either. So, number 8. The innocence of God is the true state of the mind of his Son. In this state, your mind knows God, for God is not symbolic, he is fact. Knowing his Son as he is, you realize that the atonement, not sacrifice, is the only appropriate gift for God's altar. Where nothing except perfection belongs, the understanding of the innocent is truth. That's why their altars are truly radiant.
Mm.
I just love that. I love the idea of having a truly radiant altar. Um, and to really like detach from this idea of sacrifice. Because there are those periods, you know, and I'm gonna say I probably was in this for like months where I just was like, like I have given up so much and I don't know, felt victimized by it and whatever, but it's just like it really is like I just was not viewing it from the place of like it was this kind of like a sense of like I'm doing this to get this in return, but it's really not about that. It's like who am I being in every moment? Like what is my state of being? Is like um what is like pulling in the reality that I desire, I suppose. But yeah, it's not doing to get. And it's also like this also breaks the whole paradigm of like trading time for money. Um, because trading time for money is also doing to get, like these things that we're doing in hopes of receiving something. Like I have spent years of my life doing and expecting return from all of this doing. And like, yeah, I had a lot in return for that, but like, was it worth it? Not really. Not really at all. So, yeah, that's all I had.
Yeah, it's like a complete destruction and dismantling of an entire, very, very deeply ingrained paradigm, which is scary. Like, destruction isn't like all love and light and sunshine and rainbows. Destruction is a force that comes through and destroys anything in its path, and all that survives will be the truth. So that doesn't sound very like upbeat, exciting, love and light. Like it can take you into some pretty dark places because it's going to pull away all distortions in your either individual or collective life that is rooted in evil, in untruth. Evil's a little harsh, but in untruth, and only what's true will remain standing. But that also kind of is exciting because because that if you die well, if you move through this death well by not being so stubborn and firm, but surrendering and softening into it, then you can rest assured that what will be waiting for you on the other side of destruction is going to be only truth, only what is real and pure and innocent, which can never be destroyed. So moving through these phases of darkness can turn into something beautiful because it's the removing of all illusion, which isn't fun, but yeah, it's just beautiful.
And I think what you get in return, not that it's about getting, but like what you do end up receiving in return is so much more valuable. It's so much more valuable because you're going about things in a way that feel like so true. It just goes back to truth. It's not like, and it also goes back to like value systems, like the more we engage in systems that don't align with our values, the more distortion gets embedded. And so separating from that and then operating from a place that aligns with not only like personal values, but like kind of like intrinsic, like worldly values that have been buried, you know. But it's so much more meaningful that way. I do feel like my life is much more simple now, but it is so much more meaningful. I feel like every day I do have like so much more meaning and I don't know, just like love. I have a lot more love in my life now than when I was, trying to just live the whatever the prescribed reality was. I mean, that wasn't fun.
It's like whatever that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I had this really beautiful realization this morning. I was listening to a service and I just had this whole moment where I had this deeper understanding of like these ascended masters, like Jesus, or like Mary Magdalene, or Mother Mary, or Buddha, you know, Kuan Yin. I like just all the ascended masters. We we in our hierarchical society have them up on this like pedestal, like they're better than us. They've done something that we cannot do. But the truth is that they ascended on an individual level so that they could come back and serve us now as a collective because I have this understanding that like they don't need any more ascended masters. There's so many ascended masters. What we are now striving for, as I understand, is like a collective ascension. Like, yeah, here's one person who can ascend and do it by themselves, but like, can you guys like collectively ascend, like as a community? Can you guys come together and choose to see the Christ in each other, or are you guys just gonna be at war and hate each other for the rest of ever? Or can you, because it's easy to be like, oh, yes, there's a Christ light within me and I can feel it radiating. But then, can you go to the grocery store and the person in line ahead of you who is taking too long to pull the cash out of their wallet, like, can you see the Christ in them too? Or are you just going to sit there and be annoyed at them? So it's almost like these individuals ascended by themselves so that they could come back to this point in time and be of service to us to help us from the other side ascend now as a collective rather than as an individual. So it's like we're really like in the trenches out here. We came to Earth and chose to do this work at a time of like deep hardship. Not saying that these other people's lives weren't hard, but it just feels like we're doing something different than just like Jesus ascended by himself in that lifetime. It's just, I feel like we're doing it more like we're in this together, essentially. Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so interesting with like the ascended masters and like the gods and goddesses of all the mythologies. And I just have never really understood like I don't know, like goddess and god worship because just from my basic understanding, I mean like I took a Greek mythology class in high school and that was like my first introduction to the myth. And from my understanding, just from that, it was like they're they're not meant to be worshipped. They're meant to be an aspect that you can look at and then see, like as a mirror and see that reflective aspect in yourself. And the same goes with the ascended masters is like we're not supposed to be looking at them as if they're like these higher beings and they're so above us and we're not worthy of them or whatever. The point is to it's the same thing as like a character in a movie where you can see that character, and it is like the mirror principle of where like you can see that character and then it would be mirroring back to you parts of yourself. So it really is just about self-identification. Like, what do I see of myself in any of these gods and goddesses or ascended masters? And like that's, I feel like that's the whole point of them is especially at this time, like you were saying earlier, it's like you went just over 12 weeks seeing like not being able to grasp a concept to like now being able to embody the concept. It's like we are in a time where everything is like compressing or maybe expanding. I mean, it could be both. Like I guess timelines are uh compressing and then like the result of them is expanding. But yeah, it's just it's so much more valuable to look at them as if they are equal to us because we are all the same. We are equal. We carry these same archetypes, and yeah, that's like the main reason why I love and study astrology is because all it shows you all of the archetypes exist in all of us. We all have these same exact situations and the way that they're going to play out in our lives. And so, the more that we can just live our own lives and be fully expressed in the day to day, the more impact we have than if we were to just walk around and be like, I'm so enlightened and I have these magical powers and whatever. It's the day-to-day things that make the most difference. It's not it's not really anything greater than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is where you step into your power is realizing like you're not waiting for some grandiose event to take place in your life so you can feel special. Like that's the ego that wants to feel special. You're what you're wanting, what you're waiting for is for you to choose to descend down into your body and experience your life moment to moment instead of zoning out or numbing or suppressing. Um, and it's just a choice that we make in each now moment to come back down into our body and experience what's here now, which is where you have the most amount of impact. And I loved what you were saying about the gods and goddesses and the ascended masters. And it sort of gave me this imagery in my mind of like seeing each one as like a fractal of consciousness that exists within all of us. And like we are the one, we are the wholeness. And so we all have these fractals of consciousness within us. And when people say that they're working with a god or working with a goddess or an ascended master, they're really just kind of activating and tuning into that fractal from within and almost embodying the attributes that that fractal has. So it's not, and then we kind of have to personify them so that it can make sense to our humanness. We want to see them in a physical body. We want Jesus to be in a physical body and to be something that we can see in front of us and talk to. But really, it's like something that we can't comprehend with our human minds. It's like a consciousness that lives within us that we can choose to tune into and embody some of the attributes from. But it's not that I feel weird about like calling on different beings like that. I've done that in the past where I've like called on Mother Mary or Mary Magdalene when I needed help with my voice and things like this. But I think it gets to the point where you realize that it's all you. Like it's you, you're it, you're the one, you're all of it. And so it would be way more powerful to just choose to embody the wholeness of who you are because you have all of those different fractals within you. And working with one individually almost like separates you, which is fine. Like sometimes that's necessary for where we're at in the moment, and it can be super helpful. But it almost comes to this point where you realize that when you choose, like, oh, I'm going to work with just Mother Mary or just Mary Magdalene, it almost like feels like a fracture in consciousness because you're breaking apart from the wholeness and personifying a one being into physicality in your mind almost. Is that, I don't know if that made sense, but it's just choosing to work with the wholeness of your being instead.
Yeah, I agree with that because there is, I don't know if I want to say a stigma, but when you look around at people online and they talk about like speaking with their guides and whatever, um, I think that everyone has a different way of communicating with these different aspects of consciousness. But I think it can really lead people to believe that if they don't have these direct communications, that there might be something wrong with them. Um, and I don't know, like for me, I don't really communicate with guides. I don't know. It's never really sat well with me. Um, my my personal communication is like symbols that I see in my life, what I see in my direct experience. And like I think that's the importance of learning a symbolic language is to be able to connect like your experience, the inner world and the outer world. But it really comes down to like the way that your mind is like designed to perceive, I think, because I don't really come from a point of like needing an external I don't know if it's validation or external like source to rely on. Um, but it really is like, how does your brain like categorize these things, you know? And I think that there are like parts in the journey where you can call on certain beings or whatever it is, and they can help. But I think that like the true evolution of that is learning that, oh, that actually is me. That actually is like a part of myself that I was just seeing as separate from me. And the more you use it and the more you communicate and you realize like, oh, well, that's me. So now instead of like going and looking outside of myself, if I need any sort of guidance or like confidence or anything, I'll just look back on my own life and look at times where I was really proud of myself or like something that I did that I felt very confident in. And I'll just go back to that moment and, like step into what that felt like. And it's so much more empowering in that sense because it's like I am more connecting to myself and like I'm the one playing this game. So it's like those things are helpful, but I think the farther you get, the more you realize like, oh, I actually don't need that at all.
Yeah, I love that you shared that. And I loved when you said that it can cause people to think that something's wrong with them, because that was such a deep, deep initiation for me on my path, was having to come into myself and realize there was nothing wrong with me, because the creators that I would follow online all talked about how they were astral projecting and going up into spaceships, and aliens were coming down to their bedroom and they could hear voices. And I was like, none of these things are happening to me. Like, I'm not seeing anything. I can like feel a certain way, like I can feel a presence of unconditional love, but that's it. Like, I can't.
Breaking up.
Oh,
That's
is that
better.
better?
Yeah. Oh, maybe. A little frozen. Yeah, you're blank now.
uh, okay, let me I'm sorry. Thanks for being patient.
Oh, of course.
I'm having technical, like, serious problems today. Okay. I think I just rejoined the Wi-Fi. Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. Ah, okay. Yeah, I was saying that was such a deep initiation for me personally because, I did think there was something wrong with me. And for so long, I didn't share myself online because I was like, oh, I'm not spiritual enough. I don't astral project. I don't see aliens. I must not be spiritual enough, so I should just keep my mouth shut because I don't know what I'm talking about. And I just like prayed and prayed. I was like, please let me see aliens. Let me astral travel, and then I'll know that I'm worthy of speaking online. And it was like this initiation I had to go through of realizing that like I don't need that external validation. I don't need those things to prove to me that I'm worthy of sharing my experience, of speaking my truth. I just am simply worthy of sharing because I am. So I love that you brought that up because I feel like that's a big thing in the spiritual community is like thinking if you don't meet an alien, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. And, everyone can do their own things, but I don't know. I feel like that kind of stuff is like just laced in disassociation. Like it's so obviously it's helpful, but I read this book when I was like 19, and it was like the parallel universes of the self or something, and it was about like astral projection. And so when I was like 19, 20, somebody who never should have been playing with this kind of stuff, like I was obsessed with astral traveling and like all of that stuff, and I would like do all of the things to try to whatever. There's like so many dumb things that was like, oh, eat peanut butter before bed because, like the protein helps you have lucid dreams and like all these dumb things. And it's just so funny now because it's like, I mean, the protein content in peanut butter is like pretty low. So that's actually false. But just like all these dumb things that I really, that I thought in my 20s was like the thing to do. And then I can look back on that and now, and it's like, that is in a sense like kind of a little dangerous, but I don't think it's like the mode. Like, have you seen the movie Waking Life?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's like a cartoon. Sorry, the neighbor has like something going on next door. I don't know if you can hear it.
I can't hear it.
Okay. But so this movie, Waking Life, it's like a cartoon and it has like Alex Jones in it, which was like before Alex Jones was like, you know, self. I mean, he's always been self, but whatever. So it's like the movie is about like lucid dreaming and like what it is to like be in the dream and be lucid and all of this stuff. And they go through like all these anecdotes. It's actually really good. But I first saw that when I was like 19. And so me and my brother would always try to have these, attempts at lucid dreaming. And it's so funny, I've been thinking back to this point in my life, and I'm really kind of seeing the premise of the movie very different now, where it's like the um I'm sorry, this is so loud. I don't it's like making me crazy. But so the premise I think is more like the lucid dreaming is more like being lucid now. Like we're in the dream now. Like this reality is the dream. And what if it's not so much about like leaving your body and astral traveling to all these weird places and being in this like weird funky dream where you can like shapeshift and whatever. Like what if you could do that now? Like like I think that's the whole point of awakening and like being awake in the dream now. So yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I love that. But, yeah, that was like a really big realization I had recently. It's where I was like, oh, like maybe last year around this time, I was like, oh, like this is the dream. Like I understood that on like a mental level. But like about a year ago, this time was when I would like it clicked. And I was like, oh, like literally, like just do whatever, embody it, be it, do it. And reality will literally shift around you because that is the law of this world. Like that's just how it works. And so, yeah, about a year ago, I finally like got real serious about embodying it because it finally clicked. What was the movie called? I'll have to watch it.
It's Waking Life. I think
Waking
it came
Life.
out in like 2006 or something. It's a cartoon, but it's very good. There is like if you go online and like just if you just Google like watch Waking Life online, um yeah, it's like this kind of like funky cartoon movie, but it's really good.
Yeah, I love cartoons.
Cool.
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like watching I don't remember what it was called, like Soul. I think it's just called Soul.
never heard of
It's
that.
like a new Disney movie. It's really cool. Called
Hmm.
Soul, and then there's other ones, but my husband brought it up one time. He was like, I noticed that a lot of the movies and shows you watch are like for kids. He's like, he's like, what's that about? Just mind your business. Let me watch my movie.
There is a lot of like really good messaging in like fairy tales. Like fairy tales in themselves carry a lot of like the like reality coding that we can utilize. I mean, my favorite movie growing up, like when I was really little, was The Little Mermaid. And I still resonate like so deeply with that, where it's like, like, are you willing to give up your voice to like go to this other place where you don't necessarily belong? It's like there is that whole like integrity and like values there.
Mm, that's true. I always loved Pocahontas.
Oh, love Pocahontas.
I remember I would just look up the Colors of the Wind song on my computer growing up, and I'd just re-listen to it over and over and over again. And sometimes I'd like bring it into my parents' bedroom when they were like trying to go to bed at night and like sing it to them over and over and over again. They're like, okay, April, that's great. It's like I think it's bedtime.
So funny.
Like, listen, I'm pouring my heart and soul out to you right now. Do you not understand that?
Being a child is like so embarrassing and like so funny.
It's so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I I told my husband today, all I want for my birthday is a weighted hula hoop and nunchucks. And he's like, you're turning 29 and you want a hula hoop and nunchucks? I said, yeah, listen up, buddy. We don't play enough as adults. And I am seeking to incorporate more playfulness into my life. And that's going to include a hula hoop and nunchucks.
That sounds so fun. My gosh,
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you can get
the play.
nunchucks.
Yeah, I love
Sorry.
that. I haven't heard of like weighted hula hoops, but that sounds so fun.
Yeah, I think they're for technically for working out, but I just want to use them because I've tried using regular hula hoops like that you can get from Walmart and they just fall down. So I think
Yeah.
the weighted ones keep them around your waist longer.
Yeah, and there's something really like it really brings you into your body more to play with physics. Like it really does. Like the more you're playing with like gravity and stuff like that, it really just brings you into your body so much more.
Yeah. I was like, can you imagine me walking around like hula hooping and nunchuck with my nunchucks at the same time? Like, y'all better watch out.
That's so cool.
So that was random, but yeah, I'm just trying to incorporate more like, I don't know, playfulness, childlike whimsy.
Yeah, that is
Like,
so fun.
okay. Yeah, did you have anything else to add before I move to the lesson?
No.
Perfect. I'm gonna go to the lesson. We're on lesson 9, which on the online version, if y'all are watching, you can go back and click um workbook for students, I think, and we're on lesson 9. I see nothing as it is now. This idea obviously follows from the 2 preceding ones, but while you may be able to accept it intellectually, it is unlikely that it will mean anything to you as yet. However, understanding is not necessary at this point. In fact, the recognition that you do not understand is a prerequisite for undoing your false ideas. Ooh, I like that. These exercises are concerned with practice, not with understanding. You do not need to practice what you already understand. It would indeed be circular to aim at understanding and assume that you have it already. It is difficult for the untrained mind to believe that what it seems to picture is not there. This idea can be quite disturbing and may meet with active resistance in any number of forms. Yet that does not preclude applying it. No more than that is required for these or any other exercises. Each small step will clear a little of the darkness away, and understanding will finally come to lighten every corner of the mind that has been cleared of the debris that darkens it. These exercises, for which 3 or 4 practice periods are sufficient, involve looking about you and applying the idea for the day to whatever you see, remembering the need for its indiscriminate application and the essential rule of excluding nothing. For example, I do not see this typewriter as it is now. I do not see this telephone as it is now. I do not see this arm as it is now. Begin with things that are nearest to you and then extend the range outwards. I do not see that coat rack as it is now. I do not see that door as it is now. I do not see that face as it is now. It is emphasized again that while complete inclusion should not be attempted, specific exclusion must be avoided. Be sure you are honest with yourself in making this distinction. You may be tempted to obscure it. I'm going to be honest, I never do these lessons, but I'm gonna do this one just because I'm like, why not? Like, why not? It's so easy to look at something and be like, I do not see this as it is now. I don't know why I haven't been doing them. I just didn't feel like it. But
Yeah,
I'm gonna,
you have forgotten about the lessons too.
yeah, which is funny. So while I may have forgotten about practicing it, I do notice that like when I'm in a flow state, like if I'm recording a video or something, stuff from the lessons will just like come through, and I'm just like, wow, I totally forgot that I was supposed to be doing that, but this is a good reminder.
I've noticed that too. I have
Ah,
definitely noticed like week over week how things are just showing up.
it's so funny. So yeah. And I do like that it says that we don't have to understand it, because if we understand something, then that means we don't have to practice it. Because so, which I guess is kind of true. Because you could mentally understand something but not be embodying it.
Hmm.
But but anyway, I'm gonna attempt to actually do this lesson this week. Just gonna make it a point to like sit in my backyard in my hammock or something and just spend like 5 minutes doing this, because it's so simple, but for some reason I just never remember.
Yeah. I also love that it says, be honest with yourself. You may be tempted to obscure it.
Yeah, like everything except for that thing.
Yep.
Oh, well, this was fun. Thank you for being patient. I feel like this everything was kind of chaotic all around me today, but that's okay. I'm just
That's life. That's what happened.
surrendering.
Obviously, if you had a choice, it wouldn't be happening that way, you know? So I'm easy.
Yeah, like, and halfway through my light went out, which was funny. I didn't say that because it didn't actually matter, but yeah, I remember being like, of course my light went out. I thought it was fully charged, but no.
Gosh. Whatever.
Whatever. Yeah, that's what I was like. I was like, oh my God, April, it doesn't matter.
Well, that was fun. It's fun to just roll with the punches. So,
I agree. Awesome. Thank you.
yeah, thank you. And I will see you next week.
Yeah, talk to you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.